there's only going to be a couple months until Jujutsu Kaisen reaches its 100th chapter. And throughout it, we're at, what, 87 from this one? It's really weird to think about the main character. Yuji doesn't have as much spotlight time as you'd expect. I mean, when you look at, a lot of other series, by still, like, 85, he's going to have a ton of time to, be the main character. But, I mean, including Volume 0, like, Yuta had his own spotlight. You give a lot to, like, Megumi, Satoru, even, like, more, like, side characters, kind of like Kugisaki and Nanami. Well, I guess Mekamaru's more like a side character. Kugisaki's pretty much, main cast. But from that, when you think about some of those aspects, it's really weird that Yuji doesn't have a whole lot of time where he's the spotlight of the series. Like, the last time he really was during the point of him and Todo versus Hanami. But for the most part, they just kind of showed up, and there was, during the latter portions of that fight, they had some cool moments, but outside of the action, there was the cool bond between him and Todo and setting Todo's character. But it didn't really have a lot, to me, a lot of that same kind of feel as like an actual arc boss fight. I mean, even like looking at something like the fight with Mahito, I thought that had a lot more of a tone to it. I don't know. But after that, like, it was more of Megumi's arc when, they went and dealt with Kechizu and Esso and that other Sukuna finger, her spirit. And then it went on to Satoru, in the flashback, and then we finally got back from that, and it was Mekamaru for a couple chapters. Like, we haven't really gotten chapters focused on Yuji in, like, what is that, like, 50, or not, since, like, chapter, like, was it, like, mid-40s to the 50s? I mean, there was, the small fight with Kechizu and Esso, but honestly, out of that fight with him and Kugisaki as, like, a duo, I think she took a lot more of the spotlight than he did. And I'm guessing you're probably going to look at it and, balance out their contribution. I think that she had a little more spotlight probably because she has had less than him, but obviously he's the main character. But in this one, this chapter was mostly just seeing aspects of Yuji after, a long time of just not having the character around. And this whole grasshopper guy, like, the chapter starts out, and we get this description, essentially, how humans have viewed locusts, as it's even been depicted through a false placement of one of the four horsemen. I know pestilence is on there on a lot of renditions. It's actually conquest, war, famine, death. Pestilence somehow knocks conquest out of there, and some depictions. Either way, the locust has always been one of those, like, very horrific creatures, and, like, swarms of locusts throughout, like, biblical and other stories within religious mythos and tales, because they can completely just wipe out, like, crop fields, like, in a day or so. They are a bit of a blight, and that's not like, nowadays you can use pesticides and all these other methods to them. And back in then, way back when, what are you really gonna do? I mean, you can't just go around and individually kill each of them. You're like, okay, you can do it all by hand, save some, but you're not gonna do that well. They are, since then, a depiction of a plague. They are a symbol that leads to death of people through starvation and sickness. So this guy, he's holding that spot. He's got, big forearms, powerful legs, similar to, grasshopper, locust. He's got a intense biting strength, and that's what Yuji is faced with. It's just a dangerous, like, assault kind of character. He's just constantly coming at him. Like, he's seeing, like, areas where he tried to bite Yuji. It's just, like, chunks of like, signs and whatnot, concrete, metal, just bitten away like nothing. And he can tell that this guy's got some skill. Like, he even knows, like, because he can talk, that he has to be at least a high-level curse. But you see the fight and, like, the way that Yuji's thinking about it, and how this grasshopper locust curse is doing it. Because, Yuji is just looking at him. He's watching him. He's just observing him. He's thinking about, like, oh, this is what this guy's doing. It's a performance. These are the kind of, like, moves he's presenting. And playing the safe game until then. And you see, like, at that point, there's two panels side by side. You see Yuji's comments where he's like, okay, he's got 4 arms. He can use them all at once. He's got powerful bite strength. He doesn't hesitate when attacking. He's got really strong, like, mobile legs. And then it's the grasshopper curse, and he's just like, oh, he's running away from me. So, in a part that really just was, oh, this guy runs at Yuji, launches some attacks, and Yuji moves back, you can see from those two panels just side by side the grasp that the two characters are. Yuji is being smart. He's watching his opponent, looking for like things like his footing, looking for aspects about how he approaches him and how he fights. And where the other guy's just like, all he can really think is, oh, he's running away. He's not sure like why he's doing it. He's not thinking about what his strategy might be. But here he is. He's like saying like, well, maybe the guy doesn't have any kind of like petty trick moves. But after that point, they're just exchanging words. And this grasshopper curse is like weirdly concerned about being smart or not smart. He's asking Yuji if he's smart or not. But he's saying he's smart. And Yuji messes with his head because he's like, smart people don't have to constantly tell people that they're smart. And at that point, he comes in at that kind of like little rattled moment for the grasshopper curse. And they start throwing hands. It's a 2-armed guy versus a 4-armed guy. And obviously 4 arms, you got double the attacks coming in. And, the bites, it's going to be what you'd expect to be leaned in his favor. But Yuji's smart. He's playing this not as, rush in and throw some attacks. We've already known that one of the things that is his aspect, he's very powerful physically. He's got a very strong body. And so, he's been working on actually gaining, like, that as his grasp. It's not like, well, Kukisaki, she's got her tools to get around like the cursed nails and whatnot, and here you have Gumi's trying to figure out stuff to do with his summons. Yuji, for the most part, is very physical. He's just straight in brawling. But I like that it's a lot more martial arts than you see from a lot of current like shonen main characters. And you got like brawlers and whatnot, but there's not a lot of just straight seemingly martial artists right now. I mean, you look at kind of other members, just like young characters in right now. Just looking at Fire Force. Shinra's, he's got like some more brawler kicking moves. I don't think there's really a whole lot of fighting style in there. I think I've seen a couple things that you could see, technique attacks, but nothing like Yuji. I mean, Deku doesn't have anything like this. Asta's not. He's not really a martial artist. Oh, he'd be a swordsman, but I mean, he's got sword skills. I wouldn't call it like any sword styles. Maybe he'll have to invent his own. But Yuji definitely has, he's got a lot of work with the hands. So, he's demonstrating that in this chapter. And, he's able to get in close to the guy and starts just launching attacks in. And the second he gets one good, blow it like into this guy's side, he's just going to keep that opening and keep launching attacks, just landing attack after attack after attack. And the curse is just not sure what's going on. He's got all these parts of him that naturally are superior to that of a human's, but he doesn't understand why he's losing in here. And it's not just the way that Yuji has advanced his fighting capabilities. I think there's a lot of aggression in it. Like, you see that panel when the grasshopper's questioning why he's not, like, he's the only one getting hit, and Yuji just has that, silhouetted, a little bit more malefic panel. The dude is just constantly trying to do stuff. He, like, spitting that, the black kind of, like, mucus that locusts emit after eating some form of residue. And after that point, he misses. And there's a statement like essentially the grasshoppers, they can extend like they can extend part of their abdomen and harden it, and how they lay their eggs. So this guy's using it as a weapon, essentially just like a big javelin coming right out of his tail, and goes to hit him. Yuji, not an idiot, he goes then splits that thing right in half. And there's a part where he's saying like just because he had a petty trick, it's not the thing he's really going for. Even though there's a gap between them, the thing that really bothers him is that he eats humans, and it's not like, oh yeah, he just killed people. It's the way that curses in a lot of times have that kind of whole interaction with people. And one of the things I really like about Yuji in that aspect is a lot of the characters have, well, not a lot of the characters, a lot of the characters out of the main ones, I can't even say that, doesn't make sense. A fair amount of the characters have, somebody opposing to them. Maki has her sister, Satoru has Geto, you have, so I think it's more leaned towards Megumi with Sukuna, because he has interest in him, and there's like a panel, I have to go look at what chapter the color page is on, but it shows like hands going towards Megumi and Yuji's, the hands going on Yuji are Mahito's, and the hands going at Megumi are Sukuna's. But with Yuji, Mahito, one of the aspects about him I think is really neat is Yuji's, developing this kind of animosity, this hatred towards curses by the way that they treat people. But at the same time, he's kind of has some compassion for them, like back when we saw him kind of stall for a moment after, right after Eso saw Kechizu die, and, seeing this curse that he thought was just pretty much a monster that just wanted to cause problems, kill people, have compassion and sadness over the death of his brother. And, he has that little fraction of hesitation in there. He's got that kind of thing that rattles that concept for him. Whereas Mahito hates humans, he despises them, but there was, he's got a point, like back with Nanami, when he was fighting Nanami, because Nanami pressing him so hard helped him advance, and, he made his area expansion at that point. I like that aspect. I like that, there's some nice kind of contrasting points and parallels between the characters, as their kind of like rival positions. And it's not going to go well for this guy. He's definitely dead. I mean, I don't think there'd be any point of Yuji not killing him at this point. It doesn't show, but it does show the part of the curtain, the thing that was keeping the curtain kind of there, broken. And now they can go down to, the basement floor, level 5, where Satoru is. He's still got to fight Jogo and Choso and see how that's going down there. But Mahito, whereas in switched over to Mahito, you have Yuji, who's being way more like intelligent, way more like set into like the fights themselves. He's being way more kind of like mission focused. He seems much more right now as a a member of the Jujutsu College, and less as just some kind of kid who got powers. And I like that change for him. But also with Mahito going against some of his his wants, because he wants to get in the fight, he wants to battle, but he knows that he has to get stuff done. He's got a job to do. And I thought that was neat, because he sensed the grasshopper curse dying, and he wants to get in that battle, but not time for him yet. He's got stuff to do. The question is what? The question is, what is he doing? What in specific? Because we know that they want to take care of Satoru, but I'm wondering if there's anything beyond that they have kind of going on. We'll see. It's going to be a little bit of a wait. It's a really nice way that Akutami is just building Yuji and Mahito in kind of, in like a coil to each other. I really like that aspect about the series. It is really nice when you have kind of like this opposing side equal to, well, I wouldn't know right now if I call them equals, but, opposing side kind of, reflection of the characters, like all those opposed, like all the kind of like opposite ending people that I mentioned earlier for each of the, the main characters, main cast folk. But other than that, comment below. I really want to see what Satoru's doing, but there's so many aspects I would really also see and be perfectly fine with it. Like, who's Megumi gonna fight? I want to see what Mei really does, because her power doesn't seem like it's her straight combat ability, because she can see through birds. I'm wondering what else there is to it. But she's got this really cool looking axe I want to see in combat. And the only thing we really know that she was doing was fighting a bunch of fodder, mutated people. I don't care too much about that. I want to see her actually do something cool. Maybe just bring in another, curse that it's like, yeah, you're not fodder completely, but I can defeat you. It's just a display fight. It's just to show this character. Because that's what it really was with the grasshopper curse. But I thought it was necessary, because we really haven't seen Yuji do a whole lot in a while. Even if you count the fight with, with Eso and Kechizu, that was what, like 20-something chapters ago? Okay, so that was like chapter 60 or something? I have to go back and look at the exact number, but that, almost 30 chapters. That's a long time. I mean, if you looked at it now and it's like, that's not a ton of stuff. But think about it, that was like what, back in April or something, March. It's been a while. But anyway, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about this chapter. I thought it was really necessary. I know there was a comment from Akutami in one of the author notes near the end of the flashback arc, where she's just like, I just realized that it's been so long, I can't really draw Yuji that well anymore. But she, I imagine she practiced at it to get back at him, because she drew strong Satoru and Geto so much. But anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Push the Jujutsu Kaisen agenda. We're finding out more about the anime soon. Jump Festa is in I think like 2 weeks. And anime next year. We'll see what else comes of it. The series is really starting to swell, and I'm excited for it. Other than that, appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening.